Hello, and welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and I'm a congenital amputee of the right hand. In this show, I will interview other amputees and allow them to tell you their incredible life stories. I'll also feature family members of amputees and others who support the amputee community, all in an effort to discuss the challenges and triumphs of those living with limb loss. So stick around and listen to inspirational stories and find out why we say, We're Not Stumped. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland. Today I got two great guests, and the conversation, I'm going to learn a lot today. I'm just going to put it that way. And then, of course, we got a special guest here. What is his name again?
His name is Sancho. He's my service animal.
And that is Rachael, and that is Dan Moses. Rachael, would you like to tell us or the listeners a little bit more about yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachael Simukonda, and I became an amputee on July 6th, 2021. Not even an hour after surgery, I was called by Leslie Green, and she said, we have an advocate for you. And Dan has been advocating for me in the last 3 years. He's been my motivator and sometimes my hater. So my story is that I was a medical records auditor, and I was working back in Buffalo, New York. And I was walking along Lake Erie barefoot. And I stepped on a rusty tin can. And within a week, I was flown home because I was septic. And at that point in time, I lost my toes. After an 8-month journey of being on a wound vac, it wasn't healing because I'm diabetic. And so we made the decision that we were going to cut where there was healthy tissue and get on with it. And so I chose baloney amputation, became an amputee, and the strength that I needed to get through, I got from Dan and I got from my twin sister. And in the last 3 years, I have become an advocate myself. I am a commissioner with the City of Flagstaff for the Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living. And the things that I will be talking to all of you about today are my own thoughts and ideas, and in no way represent the city or the commission, but I'm willing to share all the information I have. I'm an advocate in the community and have just become a voice for the people that often go unheard in the city.
That's great that you're doing that. I can't wait to talk about that a little bit more. And then Dan, we have you. Dan has been on 2 or 3 other podcasts already. It's always great to see you. We actually struck up a friendship ourselves, so I'm very blessed to get to see Dan quite a bit. But as a reminder, Dan, can you tell everyone a little bit about your story?
Well, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I lost my left leg in 2013. Not like Rachael, but I developed a blister on the bottom of my foot that went for a while, and it turned to sepsis and all that fun stuff, and then made the ultimate decision as I laid there in the hospital. It's like, these antibiotics that you're on are either going to destroy your kidneys or we take the leg. So I opted to take the leg rather than go on dialysis. And then, so life moved on from there. Moved out here to Arizona in 2019, November of 2019. And by March of, March of 2020, right in the very beginning of good old COVID, I was in the hospital and I had problems with my right foot, and then I didn't even give the option. I just looked at the surgeons because they were just doing a little nip and tuck here, nip and tuck there, and it's like, you know what, just take the leg and we'll be done with it so I don't have to keep doing this. And from there, life went on. So now I'm a bilateral baloney amputee. As Rachael had stated, that I'm also an advocate, peer mentor. I met Rachael through Leslie Green. I also have quite a few other mentees that I have other mentees that I talk to as well, helping them just as much as I help Rachael. And it's great to see the whole circle coming around, because now Rachael's moving on up, and then hopefully my other mentees are doing the same thing. So, full circle to help everybody out.
I definitely want to talk more about that relationship because Leslie Green, first of all, is a superstar. If you don't know her, what a fantastic person. One thing I don't want to forget, though, this isn't just a cute face. You're training him to be a support dog for you, and I don't want to. If you don't mind explaining that, I think it's a great story.
So I am type 1 diabetic. I recently went on Ozempic, horrible medicine, and because of it, my blood sugars keep dipping. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and low blood sugar can lead to death. And I was having a lot of episodes. I'm here overnight alone because my son works until 2 o'clock in the morning. And so one morning, I woke up and I was in the hospital from a low blood sugar. When I got out, my friend said, I have Chihuahua dogs, puppies, that I have trained to be diabetic dogs. And I'm like, diabetic dog? And they're like, yeah, we can train him to be able to tell from your sweat when your blood sugars are either high or low, and it will be a different cue for each one. And so he's only 5 months old. Right now we're working on some basic commands that every dog should know. But just kind of naturally, this dog has picked up when I have had lows, and he sleeps on my bed at night. I've never allowed a dog to sleep on my bed, but he sleeps on my bed. And 3 times, even in the last month, this dog has woken me up to tell me that my blood sugars were low. So I would recommend a dog like this for any diabetic.
Thank you for telling us that. And I probably should also say, for the people that are listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify, we have a cute dog with us. We have to paint the picture, a little Chihuahua that is going to be doing great things for you. I highly recommend, if you're listening to the podcast, get on YouTube and take a look at this great dog. There's nothing better than little cute dogs. Hopefully it'll spike up the ratings, right?
Absolutely. You gotta have a dog.
Yeah, you gotta have a cute dog. This dog is like amazing. This is such a cool dog.
You're my buddy.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the mentor-mentee relationship, and then I certainly want to hear what you're doing with the city. But what did it mean to you? You said it was like a day later. So you're laying in the bed, and then I don't know how the correspondence went, but let's say Leslie, or you reached out to Leslie, Leslie reached out to you. And then you got to a certain extent, make a cold call to Dan. What was that like? How did that feel?
So I had no idea.
Okay. That wasn't the process.
No. I'm going to go.
No, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a call from, I believe it was Leslie Green, asking, about if I wanted to mentor someone. I'm like, absolutely. And she asked me, because, some people are how they are. Do you mind if it's a woman or a man or what's going on? I said, I'm open for anybody. And he goes, okay, well, kind of gave me a little lowdown on you, that you're type 1 diabetic and you're fresh out of surgery and all that other kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, sure, absolutely. Let me get her name and number and all that fun stuff. And then from there, I had texted her because I didn't want to give her a cold call, just kind of a, hey, my name is Dan. I got your name from Leslie Green, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm a mentor and, here to help and all that other fun information going back and forth. So that we had, amongst being in and out of being, doped up on pain meds and stuff, and I got coherent messages from Rachel, which was great. And then when she actually got home and was, coming out of the fun drug-induced comas, but we hit it off great and just started from there. And at first Rachel was a little nervous, as far as asking questions. And then when she would ask a question, I'd give her an answer, but then I'd give her an answer to 3 more questions that she had that she didn't think of right at the moment. But it's like, oh yeah. So it was great how we just evolved from there and just kind of feeding off each other. And it's just like, when I lost my first leg, I never had an advocate. I was on my own island.
Wow.
When I lost my second leg, I was on my own little island, and then I found some help through my prosthetist, what do you want to call it, facility.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned me on to the mentorship program and people to talk to and all that fun stuff. So that's how I got involved with this. And again, that's how I met Rachael through this. And that's my part, but I don't know exactly where Rachael and Leslie and everybody kind of, how you got into it. I just go by what I know from my side. Don't mean to cut you off.
So I think I was fresh out of surgery. I barely remember. The prosthetist came in to fit me for the shrinker and gave me the information. Don't use the shrinker till you're out of the protector, that sort of thing. And then he said, I think I want you to have a mentor. And I said, a mentor? And he goes, this is a journey like you've never experienced. And he said, I find that my patients do better if they have somebody that they can reach out to that is also an advocate that can help you when you're confused and I'm not here. So I said, okay. So literally 15 minutes later, Leslie Green called, she introduced herself, and she said, I think I have the perfect mentee for you. And I said, okay. And she goes, I know that you prefer men, and Dan is a bilateral amputee, and I think that he would be absolutely perfect for you. And I'm like, okay. So like Dan said, I had had a really long infection journey before this. And so they kept me on pain meds long after I had gone home. I was not coherent most of that month. But what I remember is just about every morning I woke up and there was something from Dan. You know, I think the first thing I actually coherently remember is he said, I have the best piece of advice for you, Rachael. And I said, what's that? And he goes, it's not if you're going to fall, it's when you're going to fall. So tuck and roll. Tuck and roll. And I have remembered that. And I have fallen 3 times in my prosthetic journey. And Dan just flashes into my mind. So, you know, Dan, just like he said, I would ask him questions. And I was a nurse, but nothing prepares you for this journey. Nothing. So 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm ruminating on something, I would send him something via text, and he always responded when he woke up. And then gradually we moved from texting and him giving me the, you know, the oomph that I needed to get into the prosthesis. Then it became, hey, I'm coming to Phoenix to the prosthetist. Can we meet for lunch? So I met him. I finally met him. And if you guys don't know, this man is 6'9".
8.
6'8" when he's got his non-shorties on, when he's got the pylons on. And when I first met him, I've got a picture. I'll send you the picture. It's Dan and I standing next to his truck. And I swear to God, I was 5'9", and I am not a small woman. And I felt like a dwarf. And so that, I think, is one of the reasons that Dan has just been a perfect amputee advocate for me, because, you know, I've had a very long journey trying to get into a prosthetic. There's been one thing after another. And every time, you know, I would FaceTime him when I was learning to walk, and he'd be like, you're kind of hunched over, stand up straight. And my physical therapist would even be like, we need more people like Dan. And I'm like, well, you can't steal mine, so find somebody new. But Dan has been there every step of the way. And when we finally figured out, I hate using the word prosthetic fail. You're not the failure. For whatever reason, you cannot wear a prosthetic. I have a previous injury to my leg. My knee does not bend. And so because of that, and then also other things, I'm not able to wear a prosthetic. And so, you know, I took it really hard. I did a lot of crying. And then Dan kept telling me, what was it about the bus? Get off the bus. When I was overthinking, he'd say, get off the bus. Park the bus. Park the bus. And so, you know, it's been 3 years now. And even this week when I've had bad days, it's been Dan I reached out to.
Wow.
Well, that reminds me, when remember when I gave you the call that you need to get your ass down to Phoenix
Yes.
to meet Kevin Carroll?
Yes.
Have you ever seen
Dolphin Tail.
Dolphin Tail? He is the creator of that
Fin.
specific, that fin prosthetic. I got her down to meet him directly, one-on-one,
Wow.
when she was having different issues with different types of prosthetics to fit her specific needs, because again, she doesn't bend at the knee, so she's a lame duck. But anyway, that's here nor there. But the point is Kevin Carroll helped her out tremendously. And when she was a little foggy on who Kevin Carroll was, but then when she got home and did her, research on old Google, and it's like, oh my God, that was him. I'm like, yep, that was him.
One of my favorite movies. If you've never seen it, you've got to see it.
Well, then I'll have to see it because I have not seen it.
The
You have
dolphin
not?
lost her tail fluke.
Okay.
And so she was in an aquarium, she was brought in injured, and she was just kind of going back and forth because that's all she could do. Him and another person that I think worked at the aquarium worked together for so many months. And so, like, his tail, you'll find it on YouTube, is just amazing. But he built the prosthetic for that dolphin to give that dolphin back her life. And he's done it for sea turtles now, too.
Wow.
And the liner as well.
I think it's interesting, too, that you had talked about the prosthetic fail. I choose not to wear a prosthetic, but I'm not against them. It doesn't sound like you are either, but it does seem like there's a perception around people that may not wear one at times. And people are, the first question is like, why?
Well, I mean, I'm just going from my own perception.
Sure.
I am not speaking on anybody's behalf, but it's a choice.
Yep.
I mean, I met a person at Jackson Barrett, and he was a hip disarticulate, and we were just talking about prosthetics, and he goes, I'm fine the way I am. I can use my crutches. I get everywhere I need. Not even interested. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, well, that's cool. So, again, that's your own personal preference. If you're an amputee, all you can say is try.
Yeah.
I mean, try it once. If you like it, you love it, great. You try it, you hate it, you just want to go about yourself the way you want to go, hey, world's your oyster.
I agree 100% with that. And but again, I'm not against them. I think they're fantastic. And it's amazing what technology has given us recently.
Mm-hmm.
But as we talk about your mentor-mentee relationship and then advocating, I want to get into a little bit of what you're doing now because I find that fascinating. So you're originally from the town we're in right now. You were gracious enough to allow me to come to your residence and drop that. So that's good that I did that, right? And
right.
You're gracious enough to allow me to hit this or whatever that was, so I apologize. But we're in Flagstaff, Arizona. And you have, and again, I'll reiterate something you said earlier. Anything you say is your opinion. These are reflecting your thoughts, not necessarily the position you have now. But I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you're doing in Flagstaff and what you're advocating for.
So during the whole amputation journey, about 8 months into it, I was still wearing the wound vac, but boy, I have become very political, and so our old mayor was up for voting again, and so I said, Paul, can you drop off some yard signs for me? So I met him. I was still walking. I had a rod in my leg, so my leg did not bend at all. And he said, well, what's going on with that? And so I explained what was going on. And at that point in time, we had just made the decision to go to become a BKA. And so I explained, I walked straight like this for 22 years. I have osteomyelitis. And now I'm choosing to become a baloney amputee because I need my health. And he said, that's amazing. He goes, I think you would be a perfect fit on the Commission for Disability Awareness. It has now changed to Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living. But I said, okay. And he said, when I get home, I'll send you the link. You need to apply. So I applied, and then just weeks before surgery, I got the letter that I had become a commissioner. So I was very proud of myself.
Oh, yeah.
Went in, had my amputation. I've now been on the commission for 3 years, and I feel like both Dan, the commission, and my own stubbornness have made me the advocate that I can say that I am today.
Well, the good thing is, again, in our own opinion, not speaking on behalf of the city of Flagstaff, is that you have, or I should say we all actually have first-hand experience on, as you talked about, the inclusion on, when people park in handicap places, disability parking when they're not disabled, or just how some people are thoughtless, rude, however you want to say it. But now us being with a different ability, not a disability, but a different ability, have that perception on, why are you parking here? Why are you doing this or doing that? So with your own private knowledge and own, I'm not sure what the...
Well, it's almost like a lived experience now.
Lived experience. There you go. That's perfect. That being on the commission, that, you can be the voice for others, and then others can actually come to you and, talk about their different abilities and things that they foresee out there, that you can gather that information and then sit it down amongst the council and bring up points from other point of views, to help advocate for everybody, so that all inclusion, so everybody has their place to park, where proper place to get shopping cart buggies to do whatever, or get into a medical facility, however it works out. But again, you have the firsthand knowledge, and again, this is all speaking on our behalf, no representation on the council at all.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, if you can't answer this question, I understand, but can you talk about the vision of what you're trying to accomplish with your role?
So my role as commissioner is bringing education, not only to the citizens of Flagstaff, but also to the police department. That has become kind of a fire that was lit in me, is, I don't think that cops necessarily are always disrespectful to differently abled people, but I think there's a lack of awareness. And so one of the things that I am trying to get done is going in for each squad and just talking to them and showing them, and actually having them sit in a wheelchair and try to get around downtown without using one leg, and then without using both legs. How are they getting around? And so in that, we have a new police chief. And in the interviewing process, what he told us was that he was interested in community policing. And so what part of that means is the police officers are not just going to arrest somebody. If there's a way that they can link them to resources to help them, then the petty crimes don't need to be jailed. So that's what his vision is going forward. And so I am trying to get on the committee that he is forming within the police department that will help with awareness of this building is not safe. People cannot park in the curb cut, even during a snowstorm. That's a big issue in the city.
Yeah, people wouldn't realize it because we're coming from Arizona, that how much it snows in Flagstaff. I had my daughters both went to NAU, and it's just like we're probably in New York where you were at earlier. There's quite a bit there.
Fun fact for you.
Yes.
Flagstaff is the third highest snow city in the United States. We got 160 inches last year.
And that presents challenges that
Yes.
you're looking to
For sure.
overcome. And as you move forward, what are some of the initiatives you're looking to? And again, this is your opinion. I don't mean to paint it on flag.
I'm working on sidewalk enforcement. We are in a volcanic region in Flagstaff, and so our sidewalks don't stay flat like they do in Phoenix. They shift. Even out here, they've had to come and grind the sidewalks, but I have to remind them, hey, I can't get over this one. Hey, this one almost tipped me out. And so just property owners need to be educated. Code enforcement needs to be educated. We need to work with those people. And so that is my ultimate goal, is working with city officials to make the sidewalks safer, to make sure the snow isn't getting piled on sidewalks or on curb ramps, that, we've had a lot of flooding from a lot of fires, and the sandbags have been an issue. So those are the types of things that I personally am working on to try and make every citizen, at some point, everybody is going to be disabled. And so I'm trying to make Flagstaff the city that is disability friendly.
I like that you're doing it through teamwork and knowledge and, you know, educating others. I think that's the best way to do it. And you said something a little earlier. It kind of struck me. You went with the police officers and had them try out a wheelchair. A lot of people haven't done that yet. Matter of fact, I'm not sure whether I have, to be honest with you, but I'm going to tell you a story. I was on the Pro Bowler store. I don't know, you wouldn't have known that. But I'm going to give a shout out to Arizona Disabled Sports. I work with their bowling program, and there are people in wheelchairs. And I took a chair one time, and I decided I'm going to throw a shot with the chair immediately in the gutter. I'm a pro bowler, right? I wouldn't have thought I would have done that. There is so much a person can learn by living in the shoes of others and just trying to understand where the other person's coming from. And I think that's kind of where you're coming from. Is that a fair assessment of what you're talking about?
I think for myself, that has become the strongest advocacy point that I have, is put people into the shoes of people that are differently abled and just choose to, and let's work with it. And, you know, of course I'm pushing for the amputee, for people that can walk with an amputee. You know, the sidewalks can be an issue. Yeah. The step ups from curbs can be an issue. And so I always tell people, okay, we're going to tie your leg up. Not really, but hold your leg up, hop to the curb, and try and come down, see what happens. So I firmly believe in kinesthetic learning. And so give people the experience of actually doing it. And I had to do it with everybody in my family. And so that's where it started. That's where my passion started. And that's the reason that my days, I wake up thinking about it. I go to sleep thinking about it. I wake up in the middle of the night. I keep a notebook by my bed. Oh. So.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry. That just sparked a couple ideas that we'll talk about off camera. Just for your notebook and something to think about that maybe you can try it. But again, we'll get that out off camera.
They don't want to tell me, I think is what it is. Kidding.
That'll be another part.
Yeah, that could be part 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever.
You know, on your own personal journey, and you may have gone over this already, but I do want to ask a question. What is the one thing about being an amputee that maybe, now that you are an amputee, that maybe you didn't realize before?
I didn't realize how hard it is to navigate the world. You know, I wore a prosthetic on and off for 2 years, and just trying to get around the world. You know, people don't look at things like the space in a parking spot because we need more space. You know, with the prosthetic, it's not the same as bending your knee and just jumping out. For me, I don't have a knee, so I've got to lean all the way over, swing that leg out, come down. So for me, the biggest issue was just navigating the world and how unfriendly it really is for differently abled people.
And now that you're advocating, it seems like, I don't know if it turn over a new leaf, but your attitude is one that is continually trying to help others.
Yeah.
How does that feel, being in your position now, maybe thinking, boy, I don't even know how I'm going to recover from this, to where you're at now actually advocating from others?
You know, I've kind of always been an advocate, and so, but I feel like in the last 3 years, I've become a much stronger advocate. I think because I have the lived experience now. You know, before my leg stuck out straight, I had a metal rod in it from an accident 24 years ago. And so it stuck out straight. I'm 5'9". And so that in itself was an impediment, but I still walked.
Yeah.
And so it's much different than going from something like that to something like prosthetics.
Yeah.
Or having to use a wheelchair. And so for me, the advocacy has just become my lived experience. And what I love seeing is when I help even one person, and I see either a light bulb come on or I see the change the next time I see them. That is what I take in, and that's what I give back out. And every single person I touch in this world, I'm hoping to make a change somehow.
It's a great story. You know, one of the things too that I had learned, right, when I was listening to the story between you two, I think of, if you're going to be an advocate, you know, or a mentee or mentor, I guess is a better way to say it, take it seriously. And you did that, because saying that you text in the middle of the night, you'd get back to her. You were proactively getting to Rachael. What does that mean? How important is that?
Well, it's kind of a tough question. And I'm saying that is, all of us are all built differently. We all have different mindsets and everything else. To me, it comes from the heart. Some people are cold, some people are hot, some people could think like me or like others, however it is. But I didn't have anybody to help me. I figured, fell down, figured it out all on my own, took my own lumps and bruises and all that fun stuff. And from there, it's like, I don't want to see other people have to stumble and fall, but we all stumble and fall and going to learn on our own sometime. But, if I'm able to talk to people from the heart and mean it wholeheartedly, and if you need me at 3 o'clock in the morning and you call me, I might be a little groggy, but you say, hey, I will be there. I will move heaven and earth, mountains and deserts to get whatever I need to do to get you safe, get you help, whatever it is. And that's on me. But from my knowledge and what I've learned, by no means is it law, is it set in concrete? No. It's tools. So, in the beginning, Rachael didn't have any tools in her tool chest. So as I was, been mentoring her, that she's picked up on the tools that I've given her, things to look out for. So when she sees XYZ, that she knows, okay, Dan taught me about this. But then she takes the XYZ and puts her own ABC on there. So, just because one person writes left-handed doesn't mean that, they can write right-handed or however it is. But, it's just giving out information, loading out tools. So then, therefore, a person can build upon and make their own tool chest from there.
Dan is saying he's a tool, by the way.
Yeah. Not a mean tool, but a good tool. So, it's just, that's how I am, and wanting to help people move forward and just, again, giving them tools. I don't want to see someone sitting in their own room sulking and like the world, my world is over with. Okay, yeah, you lost a limb, but you know what? You got a different ability now. You're going to do things the same but different. And, how you take it from there is how you take it from there. But, I'm not going to push you in that wheelchair. You're going to push yourself. Mm-hmm. You're going to get up and then you're going to get on those parallel bars and you're going to look up with your ass in and you're going to walk when you get that new prosthetic, and I'm going to push you. And I don't sugarcoat nothing. It's like, come on, get up. Let's do it. You're going to do it. Because, again, if you're just going to wilt in your closet, I'm sorry, but I don't have time for pity parties,
There were times when Dan was helping me through this process that I didn't even want to take his phone call because I knew what was coming. But I have to say that because I knew what was coming, it pushed me harder. And that's what advocacy is all about. Yeah. Advocacy is about helping people find their new niche in life and then helping them figure out how it's going to work for them. And somebody that's a left baloney amputee may not do the same things I do. Mm-hmm. So, you have to be ready, willing, and open. And I've always taught my kids this, but you need to be the change you want to see.
Great way to put it. It's interesting, though, you said that, and I think all of us go through different parts in our life. There was times we didn't want to take that phone call. That's just part of being human, I think. So if there's people out there listening to this thinking, I don't want to take that phone call from whomever it would be because I don't want to hear what's on the other end, to a certain extent it's natural, but open up, and hopefully eventually they will take that phone call like you did, and look where you're at now.
Yeah.
You're doing great things right now. And when I talk about that, I want to end for both of you asking these questions. I want to know, what is the future? What are you looking forward to in life? Things that maybe personally, if you don't mind saying, but also if you can expand on maybe your role within Flagstaff, and I understand if you can't. But what is next for Rachael?
I think I'm happiest just being an advocate and helping the people in this city. That's my job. That's my happiness. That's what I want to do. And, I probably will spend the rest of my life helping make Flagstaff a better place. That's my heart. And that's where I'm going to be.
It's your passion.
That's my passion.
That's
it's
fantastic.
what gets me up every day.
That's fantastic. And Flagstaff's going to be much better because of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Dan, as you look forward, what are you looking forward to do? I know you're on sled hockey. We talk. It's amazing. Sled hockey's amazing. I've watched Dan before. But what else you got going? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I mean, like I said, I like to give out the helping hands to help out any way I can. Again, you can take what I say with a grain of salt. You can, again, I give a suggestion, you can improve upon that suggestion. All I expect in return is that, I've helped Rachael. Rachel's now helping other people with different abilities, and, being on the council and bringing up suggestions to help out. And, so it's paying it forward. So, I mean, that's the best thing is, from anybody with any type of thing, Well, that's just how I feel about it. I hope anybody out there in camera world, you're helping, a friend, with depression or
Yes.
or eating dis, whatever the deal is, that you may have been there, and now you're helping, you're pushing it forward, and then the ball, the snowball keeps going forward. And
One day you can be an advocate for someone else.
Yeah.
Your journey right now may be dark, your journey may be sad, but the day will come when you will wake up and say, world, you hit like a punk. And then that's the time to find somebody else that needs your help and to pay it forward. I think the disabled, the differently abled community kind of needs to encircle itself when it comes to advocacy, and we need to take care of each other first. And that's a lot of what I've seen in the work that I do, both professionally and personally, is it's about teaching disabled people that you are nothing less than the two-legged person or the two-armed person sitting here. Just because you have depression, it doesn't mean you're a failure. And so I think it's really important for all of us to embrace each other and then make sure that when we're in a good place, that we carry it forward to the next person.
That's perfectly said. And Dan, I want to thank you for introducing me to Rachael. This was a fantastic. The more I get to learn about you, the more I want to learn. So what I would like to do, I would love to do maybe 6 months, get back together, talk about your progress in the city, which, we know the way cities work sometimes may not be the fastest thing, but things you're working on, things you're allowed to talk about. If you don't mind coming back on.
No, not at all.
We'll
As a matter
do it
of
without
fact,
this
I'll
guy.
open up
I'm
this
kidding.
invitation to you. October 5th, the mayor and I will be at a disability resource fair here in town. And that is going to be part of my commission work, but it's also going to be my heart passion work. And we will be talking about Dan's sled hockey team.
Excellent.
And we will be talking about an organization that was created in Flagstaff. We're hoping Flagstaff will envelop it and start using it. It's called Welcomed Here. And so I would like to invite you, if you'd like to come up and see a little bit about what we're trying to do in this city. And any of you that are watching, if you have any questions, reach out to Mike. Mike can reach out to me. But carry this forward. Carry forward what we're doing today so that you can be in the position that we're in.
Thank you so much for that invite. I wasn't aware of it. I'm honored. I'd love to come up, I guess, because I'm in the Phoenix area, come up to Flagstaff. I'm very interested in learning more. Is that something that is on the city website that I can link to, or is it?
I I will find the information for you. It's
Okay.
not linked on the city website yet, but it will be under my commission.
I can't wait to learn more about that. That sounds very exciting, and I thank you. I appreciate.
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate the invite. I appreciate Dan introducing me to you. I appreciate you allowing me to come into your home and interview you. I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank
so
you.
thank you both so much.
Hey, we're always here to give you a helping hand.
Yeah. I'm not stumped, remember?
Ah, there you go.
You know, sometimes we all need a leg up. So
Right?
Thank you both so much.
thank you.
That was the We're Not Stumped podcast, hosted by Mike Bolland. If you want to be a guest on the program, reach out to Mike at his email address, mike@mikeboland.com. This podcast is produced by One Hand Man Productions. If you are looking to start your podcast, go to onehandmanproductions.com.